dream he saw that he had to basically ziba his son, and he's like, every father loves their son. They love their own son. Why would someone just do that out of this all of a sudden? But Hazrat Ibrahim believed in Allah, and he put all his trust in Allah, and he sacrificed. He went to the sacrificing place with his son, and his son was also willing to do a sacrifice for Allah. And he went and He went, and when Hazrat Ibrahim was about to cut his neck, Allah brought a sheep in place of Hazrat Ismail, and he sacrificed the sheep. Or if he didn't do this, then we would have to sacrifice our sons every single Bakr Eid. Now instead we sacrifice cows, goats, and animals of slaughter. But the background story to this is that he put all his trust in Allah, and from all these stories, they show a way to live as a real Muslim, that you have to follow every single command of Allah without any hesitation. Um, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam's name was mentioned in the Quran 67 times, and also when you read your Salah, he is mentioned multiple times. And in the story of Nimrud was a type of Pharaoh. He was a bad king, and he thought too much of himself. They worshipped idols, but they thought that they knew that the idols wouldn't do much, so they said that, oh, I'm the king, I can do this, I can bring life, I can bring death. He once brought two people in front of him, and he killed one, and he let one go. He said, I can also bring life and death. So he believed that he was God. He said, I am your Lord. Why don't you accept me as your God? As Ibrahim alayhi salam said, no, God is the unseen. He's the one that forgives. He's the one that brings life and death. And Nimrud said, "You're not gonna follow me, so I'm gonna throw you into fire." He threw him into the fire. I think he threw him either clothless or with clothes. But Hazrat Ibrahim came out of the fire after a long period of time, and he wasn't burned, but he came back with clothes. Or in other sayings, they say that he came back with fruits of Jannah. However, he put all of his trust in Allah, and he said, if I'm going to believe in Allah, I have to trust Him, and He will do the rest. Just put all your trust in Allah, and Allah will guide you to the guide you to Jannah. Next slide.
And then for our companion of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we're doing Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu and Hazrat Khalid bin Waleed radiallahu anhu.
MashaAllah.
Hazrat Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, or Hazrat Umar Farooq. Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu accepted Islam when he was on the way to kill the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he heard he was on the way to kill the Prophet, and he came across his sister's house, and he heard the verses of the Quran being recited from his sister's house. He went inside and saw that his sister and his brother-in-law were reading the verses of the Quran, and he immediately started to beat them. He started to beat them. And while he was beating them, his sisters told him, "You can hurt me as much as you want, but I will not give up my faith." After hearing this, Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu asked his sister to read some of the Quran for him. His sister read some verses from Surah Taha, and after hearing these verses, he was moved internally. And then, instead of going to the Prophet to kill the Prophet, he went to the Prophet to accept Islam. When Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu converted to Islam, the Muslim world changed for the better. Hazrat Umar Farooq was a very feared person, and he was very strong. Everyone feared him. And when he accepted Islam, the religion became, Muslims weren't afraid to read their salah in the masjid, because other people were afraid of Hazrat Umar Farooq now. And now since he was Muslim, people wouldn't want to do anything to any of the Muslims. His title, Al-Farooq, was given to him by our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this means the one who distinguishes right from wrong. He was the second caliph of Islam, and during his khilafat, he conquered 2.2 million square miles of land, and this helped the Muslim empire grow. Whenever Shaitan would see Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu coming his way, Shaitan would go the other way. This shows that even shaitan feared Hazrat Umar Farooq.
This was Hazrat Khalid bin Waleed Raziyallahu Ta'ala an. Hazrat Khalid bin Waleed, his full name was Abu Sulaiman Khalid ibn al-Walid ibn al-Mughira al-Makhzumiyah al-Mukhzumiyah. He was a brave warrior who fought as a Muslim, and he commanded the Muslim army at the time and fought for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam after accepting Islam, meaning he wasn't a Muslim before. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him the title of the Sword of Allah. He gave him such a big title that Allah told the Prophet to give him the title of the Sword of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that he was a living weapon of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was he was made the commander of the Muslim army by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's a very inspiring character in Islam, being such a great warrior, and he never lost one battle. He was also an enemy of the Prophet before he accepted Islam. He came from the Quraysh tribe, and the Quraysh tribe was a tribe that was always against the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his people. Um, in one of his battles, the Battle of Mu'tah, uh, there were 3,000 Muslims and I think 300,000 enemies. And the enemies was of course like too many, and they only had 3,000 Muslims. Guys, talk for 1 second. And so in the Battle of Mu'tah, there was a flag of Allah. And the kalma was written on that flag, and they didn't let that flag drop. First, Hazrat, no, first Zayd bin Haritha radiyallahu an, he was the first general of the army, and when they were clashing, he got killed. The enemy seen him, they overpowered him, they killed him. Then the second commander saw that the general's flag dropped. So the second commander, Jafar radiyallahu an, picked up the flag, and he went on the battlefield holding the flag up in one hand and the sword in the other. The enemies came, they cut off one arm, the right arm, and then he picked the flag up on his left arm. He kept running on the battlefield saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And then they cut off the left arm. The left arm was gone, he couldn't pick up the flag, so he came and he hugged it and he started running around saying the kalma. He said, no, the flag shouldn't drop, the flag shouldn't drop. They came, they killed him, the enemies came, they overpowered him, they killed him, he was shaheed. And then the people said that, oh, they killed my second commander. Oh my God, what are we gonna do now? The third commander came, Abdullah ibn Rawaha, radiyallahu an, and he picked up the flag, and he picked up the flag, reading kalma, takbir, and all that, and fighting on the battlefield. The enemies came and they overpowered him. He fell on the floor. He was shaheed. The people, they did not lose hope because they said those that are on the path of Allah are not destined to die. Instead, they are alive and healthy in Allah's as Allah sustains them. So then the Sahaba picked up the flag. They said, "Who should be the next leader? Who should be the next leader? There's no more leaders. We're gonna lose this battle because they had so less people and the other people had so many." He gave the flag to Hazrat Khalid bin Waleed. Khalid bin Waleed was sitting on a horse, fighting the battle. He gave the flag to him. He also got shaheed. The Sahaba that was holding the flag. Khalid bin Waleed said, "Okay, we're gonna lose this battle if I don't do anything." So he went up and he started going up and slashing everybody that I seen. He he hit one, he clashed one person, the sword breaks, the second the sword breaks, the third the sword breaks, the fourth, and he broke 9 swords, killing people, and he broke 9 swords. The people seen that this guy's not dying. Oh, what are we gonna do? We lost the battle. So they all retreated and the Muslims won. And then the second story is once a Roman commander and Hazrat Khalid bin Waleed's army were about to conflict. The Roman commander, before the war was about to happen, he came up from his post and he came to Khalid bin Waleed radiyallahu anh, and he asked, "Is it true that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was no the your God Allah subhanahu wa taala gave the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the sword of Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave the sword of Allah to Prophet to Hazrat Khalid bin Waleed radiyallahu anh." Khalid bin Waleed said no, even though that was true. Khalid bin Waleed said no, and he said, "So what are you gonna ask me to do for me to stop this war?" The Roman commander asked. Khalid bin Walid said, pay the payment of jizya, which was paying taxes for the Islamic army, or face my sword." He said, what if I deny it?" Khalid bin Walid said that if you deny it, then I will come and clash with your army. The Roman commander said, "Okay, instead of doing all this, tell me what else can I do?" He said, "Then accept Islam." And he right there, and he said, "La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah." He just said the first kalma and became Muslim. Only the commander. The Romans seen that his commander turned against him, and so they started to come and clash with the people because they seen that the commander was betraying them. Khalid bin Walid said, "Don't worry about it. We're gonna fight them." They fought them. The Roman commander died. Right? The Roman commander was Shaheed, and all the Romans of the army were killed, and they lost the battle. But they're just saying that the Roman commander said before he was Shaheed that I'd rather be in the belly of this earth than fight such people for battle. I mean, Khalid bin Walid was this bahadur, he was this great that he made people fear of him to fear of Allah, and they accepted Islam. And just taken out of all those people in the army, like the Roman armies were probably like over 100,000. Out of 100,000, Allah can choose anybody from there to become a shaheed and become Muslim. And in that time span, maybe 1 or 2 hours, only one person became a Muslim from all those people that are non-Muslims. And that's what Khalid bin Walid.
Now for the martyrs, we're doing Hazrat Usman and Ghani radiallahu anh, and Hazrat Ali radiallahu anh.
Hazrat Usman Ghani radiyallahu anh, he was one of the closest Sahabas of the four main Sahabas of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the Holy Prophet's son-in-law because he married the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was the third caliph. He was very very wealthy. He didn't fight wars. He was shy. He just had a lot of money, and he had he was very wealthy. He's very generous, and to come to one of the stories of uh, Hazrat Usman Ghani, he invited the Prophet to a dawah, like a dawat. He came and he said, "Come over and eat food." The Prophet ﷺ agreed. He came, and every step that he took to Prophet Muhammad, every single step that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ took to Hazrat Usman Ghani's house, Usman Ghani counted those steps and the steps that going back to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's house. And for each step that he took, he freed one slave. That's just how rich he was, and that's how generous he was. For every single step that the Prophet took, he freed a slave. Sayyidina Usman Ghani was very shy. He was innocent and sharif, but one time his pants were pulled up a little bit, and his ankle was showing. And Angel Jibreel came down. Allah sent Angel Jibreel to come down. He came and he told Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that his ankle is showing. Tell him to pull it a little down so his ankle is covered. That the angels are not looking. The angels are closing their eyes at the moment. And so this just shows how much of a what's the word?
Modesty.
Modesty. Yeah, you say modesty. I don't know the word in English.
Yeah.
I was gonna say in Urdu, but I cannot. Sorry. Yeah, this just shows how much modesty he had, and how much respect everybody had for him. Next slide. Hazrat Usman Ghani, he was martyred even though he did not